Good evening, I'm John Palmer, and this is NBC Nightly News. They began returning to their damaged and demolished homes today, thousands of people in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Ontario, Canada. They began the long, painful job of cleaning up wreckage left by tornadoes that killed at least 91 people and caused several $100 million in property damage. At least 63 of those who died lived in Pennsylvania. Robert Hager reports from there tonight.
Albion, Pennsylvania, where 12 died and 1/3 of the homes were lost or damaged, crept back to life today.
Okay. Jesus, you're a strong lady and you need to cry.
I'm sorry, but I can't.
Residents such as June Zellis tried with difficulty to forget the horrors of Friday night. The Red Cross moved in to provide comfort, to care for the injured, to provide medical supplies and food, and clothing donated for families left with nothing but what they were wearing. Helicopters brought federal emergency management officials here, along with Pennsylvania Senator Arlen Specter, who toured the town. Under the eyes of National Guardsmen, the streets filled with workers and equipment as the cleanup barely began. Utility poles that had literally been sucked from the earth by the wind were replaced. Workmen restrung the lines. Residents were warned to boil water before drinking. Insurance companies moved in and began taking information. But many were uninsured or underinsured. All over town, residents salvaged what they could. The Linder family, Don and Susan, they survived but weren't sure her parents had.
My parents were running down the street alive. It's just such a wonderful feeling. Material things don't mean a thing when you see your family running down the street towards you, living.
Down the street, a message left for relatives. The Smiths were indeed okay, by now returned to the home they'd left. And in the midst of the rubble, on this Sunday after the storm, there was still time for contemplation and some things that remained intact. The statue still standing at St. Lawrence's Church, where the roof blew off. Down the street, Grace Church, where Pastor James Schmittel gathered his flock to pray.
We are bewildered. We are in sorrow. We have welling up within us thoughts of concern for others, thoughts of thanksgiving for ourselves and for others.
Robert Hager, NBC News, Albion, Pennsylvania.
Early results from Greece's national election tonight show Premier Andreas Papandreou's Socialist Party with a solid lead over the conservative opposition. But as Henry Champ reports, it is still undecided at this hour whether Greece will stay to the left or move to the right.
The dawn sun splitting the columns of the Parthenon, a daily reminder to Greeks that democracy was born here. And wildly cheering political supporters, a reminder to the rest of us that what they invented, they now practice with unmatched passion. They voted today to either continue the socialist dreams of Andreas Papandreou or to accept Konstantin Mitsotakis and his conservative free enterprise promises. Both men campaigned almost solely with huge rallies. Crowds of 1 million were not rare. They were garish events. Few heard what was said, substance obliterated by fireworks. The big city rally works here because most people vote in the villages in which they were born. The main parties provide free busing in return for a promised ballot. In Grammatico, for example, there were more votes than residents. The returnees gathered at cafes, each a party stronghold. This man came all the way from South Africa to support Papandreou.
We have to come here, you see, to vote. Because this government is very good. They change the life. They change everything.
They argued about American military bases, but far more about lineups for feta cheese and the fact it is made in Denmark. And the poor economy, high unemployment. They argued about Melina Mercouri, former actress and now cabinet minister, whose rallies were as dynamic as her political views for women are simple.
We want to be free, and we want to live well, make children, and be happy.
Women voters have won major reforms under Papandreou. They favor his party, and he'll need them if he's to stay in office. Many polls saying only a coalition with the Communist Party can save him. The sun always rises over the Parthenon, but whether his party's symbol, also a rising sun, will be as constant is tonight very uncertain. Henry Champ, NBC News, Athens.
Later in this broadcast, Martin Fletcher reports on Israel's announcement today that its army, except for a very small contingent, will be out of Lebanon by Thursday, 3 years to the day after Israeli forces invaded that country. Dan Molina reports tonight on those cute little three-wheelers. They're lots of fun to ride, but they can land you in the hospital. And Jennifer McLogan will report on tornado damage to the little community of Atlantic, Pennsylvania, on how the Amish and others living there are trying to cope.
My most embarrassing moment with my dentures? My graduation day last June. When I went up for my diploma, I sneezed. I thought I'd lost my upper plate. Then I discovered a new denture adhesive. New improved Super Polygrip.
See for yourself. New Super Polygrip has improved holding power. We improve the grip to give you more confidence.
Even when I sneeze.
New improved Super Polygrip. We improve the grip to give you more confidence.
What?
When you play telephone, if you can't hear everything, that's part of the game. But when you pay for calls, it's no fun. AT&T thinks that every long-distance call should sound as close as next door, and isn't that why you call?
Want to try it too?
Calling anywhere, anytime, long-distance operators over a century of commitment. That's AT&T. The more you hear, the better we sound. AT&T, the right choice.
New business. Chair recognizes Brother Lampard.
Yeah, I got a question about this beer that Brother Hollowell's been buying for the lodge.
This expensive brew, Meisterbrow?
According to the guys down to the plant, it's not expensive. Just tastes expensive.
Oh?
So what's Hallowell doing with all the money he claims to spend on beer?
Well, let's just ask him. Hallowell? Hey, where's Hallowell?
Hi, Hallowell.
Rich, smooth Meisterbrow. It only tastes expensive.
Israeli Prime Minister Shimon Peres today welcomed an offer by Jordan's King Hussein to hold direct Mideast peace talks, but Peres, in an apparent reference to the Soviet Union, cautioned that Israel would reject any participants in peace talks with whom it has no diplomatic relations. And Peres also said today that Israel's withdrawal from Lebanon, except for a small permanent buffer zone, will be completed on Thursday, the third anniversary of Israel's invasion of Lebanon to smash the PLO. Martin Fletcher reports from Tel Aviv.
No celebrations, no parades for the returning Israeli army. After 3 years of occupying South Lebanon, the once proud Israeli army is tired, its morale shattered. It suffered Israel's first defeat. Israel said the war was aimed at making its northern border safe from Palestinian guerrilla attacks. But do residents of the northernmost town, Metula, feel safer today than before the war?
No, it's the same like before.
Israel's now pinning its hopes for peace and quiet in the north on a combination of defensive measures and threats. Much of the border is a giant construction site as Israel builds fences, ditches, electronic traps to stop enemies infiltrating Israel. And although Israel's calling this the final pullout, a few hundred soldiers will stay in Lebanon to work with local Lebanese. Israel hopes they'll stop the PLO from returning to South Lebanon. Last week, Israel released 250 Lebanese Shiite Muslim fighters from its jails in the hope they'll join the fight against the Palestinians in Lebanon. And if they don't stop the Palestinians from shelling Israel, Israeli Defense Minister Yitzhak Rabin threatens to send the Israeli army back into the Shiite villages of South Lebanon.
They will be the first to suffer. Their homes will be blown up. They will not be able to live in their villages, and they'll have to run away.
Israel's threats are the same as before the war, an indication of how little the war accomplished. Martin Fletcher, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Many American career diplomats are critical of the way the State Department deals with terrorism overseas, and they are unhappy with security at U.S. embassies. 80% of the diplomats who responded to a magazine survey said they believe the bombing of the Beirut embassy annex last September could have been prevented with reasonable security measures. Chinese Premier Xiao Zhang began a tour of 3 Western European nations today with a visit to Britain. Premier Xiao, seen here on the right, has a heavy schedule of trade talks with the British, who are eager to make up for expected economic losses when they turn Hong Kong over to China in 1997. The Chinese Premier will also visit West Germany and the Netherlands. In Basel, Switzerland, Europe's governing soccer association has banned English teams indefinitely from European competition because of that riot in Belgium last week that killed 38 people. At the Belgian Cup final in Brussels today, players observed a moment of silence in honor of those who died in the rioting. Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi today joined the leaders of Bangladesh and Sri Lanka on a Bay of Bengal island, that in a gesture of sympathy for those who suffered in the cyclone there a week ago. As many as 10,000 people may have died in that cyclone. 250,000 people were left homeless. The New York Times reported today that President Reagan has told American negotiators at the arms talks in Geneva not to show flexibility unless the Soviet Union makes new proposals first. Mr. Reagan is said to believe the Soviets will set forth new and more specific proposals. But the Russians said today, quote, "The ball is now in Washington's court." The Soviet newspaper Pravda said progress in Geneva will come only when the United States is prepared to make concessions, especially concerning Star Wars.
They've just found Jordan innocent.
But the magazine's full.
Well, we'll have to work fast. So, this I like. Very good. Thank you. Yeah, okay.
Miss Moss telephone?
Oh, I can't take that.
Break away to High Point decaffeinated coffee. Break away to the smooth taste and relax. High Point gently removes not only caffeine, but also bitterness that can interrupt your coffee pleasure.
We made it.
Good.
Make the most of your relaxing moments with High Point decaffeinated coffee.
Miss Jane Russell.
What makes a full-figured woman shine? An 18-hour figure. 18-hour bras and girdles from Playtex turn your full figure into a fabulous 18-hour figure. The unique 18-hour fabric stretches all over for really comfortable support, very comfortable control. It's a wonderful feeling, a wonderful look. The 18-hour figure with Playtex 18-hour bras and girdles.
Try our new seamless 18-hour bras. Now at super introductory savings.
I have 3 reasons for eating foods like Kellogg's All-Bran. And here they are. You see, I just read about new reports from the National Cancer Institute, and some studies suggest that a high-fiber, low-fat diet may reduce the risk of some kinds of cancer. So, I made some changes, like eating Kellogg's All-Bran, because ounce for ounce, no food has more fiber than All-Bran. Just knowing that makes us all feel better.
Maximum fiber, Kellogg's All-Bran.
R.J. Reynolds Incorporated Industries announced today a merger with Nabisco Brands. Together, the nation's second-largest tobacco firm and the 4th largest food company will form the largest consumer products firm in the United States. Nabisco stockholders will have to approve the merger. Federal hearings are underway into the dangers of three-wheelers, those popular all-terrain vehicles. More than 2 million have been sold, but as sales go up, so do the number of accidents. More from Dan Molina in Homochita National Forest in Mississippi.
They can blast along like cannon shots, these little three-wheelers. You can yank them up on their hind ends. You can play Evel Knievel all day. You can climb up almost anything. You can also destroy yourself in the blink of an eye. Experienced riders have seen it happen time and time again.
They just don't take them seriously. I think a lot of people just get on without thinking they will hurt you.
What alarms critics isn't just the number of people hurt and killed on these, but how fast the numbers are increasing. From 8,500 injuries in 1982 to over 67,000 last year. In hearings that began last week, the Consumer Product Safety Commission started looking for answers.
I think that there should be a way of regulating the speed, either through a governor or whatever mechanical way you could do it, you know.
10-year-old Tal Tharp was riding in a supposedly safer all-terrain vehicle, a four-wheeler, when it flipped and knocked away a third of his skull.
we tried to grab the brake, and it made us flip over, and then it flipped and threw us.
You put a kid on one of these, and if you don't teach them, to respect the bike, ride it right and all, they're gonna wreck it.
That's the reply from those who plunge into the thrills and action of the sport. Like skiers, surfers, or skydivers, they say that sizing up the risks is part of the game.
Out here, if you think you can handle it, get out there and ride it like you want to. But, you got to suffer the consequences. It's your own fault if you wreck.
Often, there's an added complication as the day goes on.
Tell them your daddy drinks beer.
Turning one of these is very awkward at first. The driver has to lift the weight off one side. Here at California's Pismo Beach, they teach that skill properly, but instruction like this is rare.
Come on, shift your weight in.
The fact that many riders don't expect this to be difficult at all is what gets them hurt. That's the key to the move to ban three-wheelers outright. Stuart Statler of the Consumer Product Safety Commission.
And if the vehicle itself can only be ridden by inducing instability, I'm not sure whether that constitutes so serious a defect that the vehicle shouldn't be out there in the first place.
Licensing for all drivers, perhaps a minimum age, more responsibility on retailers and manufacturers to educate buyers, laws requiring helmets, all these are possible outcomes of what will be a lengthy investigation into the dangers of three-wheeling. Dan Molina, NBC News, in the Homochitto National Forest, Mississippi.
The hurricane season has arrived, and if the experts are right, millions of people have good reason to be especially watchful and wary in the months ahead. Dennis Murphy has a report from Miami.
Overdue. That's the word that weather forecasters use as the 1985 hurricane season begins. The major hurricane, the big one, is overdue.
It's going to come, but we don't know whether it's this year, next year, or 10 years from now.
The last major hurricane to hit the United States was Alicia. Its storm surge and 130-mile-an-hour winds killed 17 people and caused more than $1 billion worth of damage when it slammed into Houston and Galveston in 1983. To the hurricane forecasters in Miami, who tracked the storms with satellite photographs, Alicia was just an average hurricane.
The largest natural disaster in the history of the United States was a hurricane, which was in Galveston, Texas in 1900, which killed 6,000 people. And by comparison, the San Francisco earthquake killed a little over 600. Now, we have to remember that we got over 40 million people in our coastal regions from Texas to Maine. And something like 80% of those people have never experienced a major hurricane.
The coastline, like South Florida's condominium line Gold Coast, is so densely populated that civil defense experts say they would need at least a day and a half to evacuate residents if a hurricane were headed that way. There are congested causeways to contend with, and in the Florida Keys, only one highway out. Despite modern hurricane forecasting technology, the Weather Service can make accurate predictions about where a storm will go only 24 hours in advance. In most cases, too late for evacuation.
We cannot give that kind of warning without overwarning tremendously, and then people would never listen to us.
25 people in this Gulf Coast, Mississippi apartment building didn't listen in 1969. Hurricane Camille killed all but 2. Hurricane victims learn respect.
I didn't think it was going to be that bad, but it's got worse than what we thought it would.
The first hurricane of the year will be named Anna. Dennis Murphy, NBC News, Miami.
Treasury Secretary James Baker went on the offensive today, defending President Reagan's tax simplification plan. He said that a provision which eliminates the deduction for state and local taxes is fair and would, he said, increase federal revenues by $40 billion by the end of this decade. Earlier, New York Governor Mario Cuomo said the president could find ways to keep the state and local deductions, but instead, he said, prefers to keep provisions that help stockholders and the oil and the gas industry. Elderly people with some special medical attention and help from their families can enjoy longer and healthier lives. That's the idea behind new programs for the elderly in many hospitals across the country. Noah Nelson visited one of those hospitals in California.
Good. You guys are doing a good job.
This is the Geriatric Evaluation Unit at the VA Hospital in Sepulveda, California. And these patients are part of an ongoing study of what it takes to help elderly patients live longer, better lives.
Good.
Okay, let me take a peek here, all right? Good. Hold on to those for just a second. Let me take another look.
Special wards like these are being started all over the country. Patients stay an average of 4 to 6 weeks.
We wanted to find out how you were doing today. Good.
except old age.
Well, a lot of what old age is how you feel.
Right.
The wards are staffed by doctors, nurses, and specialists who evaluate the patient's total psychological and physical health.
Lower back pain, degenerative joint disease, and that seems to be improving. He hasn't complained much of pain. He still uses the heating pad.
One study has shown that with a clearer picture of the patient's condition after treatment, he or she is less likely to need a nursing home and will live longer.
In our randomized study, the group who got the usual care had a 50% mortality at the end of 1 year. Those that came to the geriatric unit, this mortality rate was cut in half.
This is what we call a guide to good eating. And what
Doctors here believe that sharper diagnosis of problems and better overall medical planning is what makes the geriatric ward successful. Most patients agree.
It keeps you on the ball, it keeps you busy, and you take all kinds of physical therapy. And I've seen people progress here in a month where they couldn't hardly do a thing the first day they come in.
And with this Curlax, we wrap it using a figure of 8.
Figure 8. Okay, fine.
The families of elderly patients are also involved and given information about what to do at home once the patient leaves the hospital. The upfront cost of this program is expensive, but some healthcare specialists believe it is cheaper in the long run because patients return to the hospital fewer times.
I want you to take your finger and touch my finger and then touch the tip of your nose.
But the real payoff shows in the faces of healthier patients, like 84-year-old Lucy Morgan, happy to be feeling better.
It's a lot better than it was.
Oh, yes.
I'd say it's almost back to normal.
Yes, I think you're really going to put me back on my feet.
Noah Nelson, NBC News, Sepulveda, California.
Catherine Costello was among the graduates receiving diplomas at St. Thomas Aquinas College in Spark Hill, New York today. For Catherine, it was her second diploma in 24 hours. On Saturday, she was graduated from high school. For the past 4 years, the 17-year-old student has been attending high school classes during the day and college courses at night. She made the dean's list at college and straight A's in high school. Now she says she doesn't know what to do with all the free time between now and medical school this fall.
Corned beef with mustard.
Cream and cheese on one.
Don't forget the pickles.
You know, most any food or drink can cause bad breath. That's why I carry Clorettes, the breath deodorant. Only Clorettes has Actisol with chlorophyll, which helps your mouth's freshening power clean up bad breath fast. It's breath protection that tastes great. Of course, Clorettes cost more, but it's worth it. Clorettes, the breath deodorant, because you have bad breath more often than you think.
If he sinks this putt, he wins the tournament.
Hold it! Can anyone here name a copier maker that's bigger than Ricoh?
Xerox.
Ricoh's bigger.
IBM?
Ricoh's bigger. And we got to be bigger than Xerox by making a full line of copiers that win top marks for quality.
Illuminating.
Now, are you still overlooking Ricoh? Call Ricoh. We respond.
That's a gimme.
For painful gas, these remedies can't match the Gas X relief ingredient. Gas bubbles are like beer bubbles. Add one of those, add Gas X. Only Gas X clears up the gas. Gas X, with the strongest, fastest gas reliever you can buy.
Ta-da! X-Lax. The family friend. I almost forgot. Good thing I didn't.
Families trust chocolated X-Lax. It's easy to take and works so gently overnight.
A good friend to have when you need it.
Gentle chocolated X-Lax.
Make it your family friend.
Only 175 people live in the tiny Pennsylvania town of Atlantic, and 5 of them were killed when those tornadoes hit late Friday night and early Saturday morning. Just 7 houses are still standing tonight. But there is little bitterness in that community because of the example of the Amish, a people who are asking for nothing and offering a lot. Jennifer McLogan has a report.
Divine providence. That's the way many of the residents in the tiny farming town of Atlantic explain their losses. Half of the people who live here are Amish. They believe that you must accept what God gives you, even if it means a tornado that levels your town. And they are an inspiration to many of their neighbors here.
I love these Amish people. I think everybody here is proud to be part of an Amish community, or they're part of our community. I think it kind of belongs to them.
The Amish coexist here in a modern-day world, Yet the religious sect shuns attention and modern conveniences such as electricity or running water. Most shy away from accepting help from outsiders.
They like to take care of their own, and they like the less attention, the better. They're more concerned about other people than themselves.
Red Cross volunteers have been trying to get to them, to give some much-needed medical attention, to give others soap or toothpaste, or even share a caring word. Despite the fact they want no handouts, they are a people dedicated to helping others. Neighbors say the Amish will take none of the credit. Harry Dagan sat on the porch steps which used to lead to his house and said if it wasn't for his Amish neighbors who harbored his family in a cellar, they would all be dead.
The only thing that was going through my mind was, where's my family? Yeah, that's what I was. Sorry.
The community spirit of the Amish people was obvious last week when 35 Amish families helped with a barn raising here. Days later, the barn and home were destroyed. The Amish people said the tornadoes were God's will. At first, officials predicted Atlantic would never be rebuilt because 100 buildings were leveled. That was before they met the people here, learned of their spirit and of their beliefs. They did not realize the Amish people had already started rebuilding. Jennifer McLogan, NBC News, Atlantic, Pennsylvania.
And that's NBC Nightly News for this Sunday. I'm John Palmer. Join us tomorrow morning for Sunrise and Today. And from all of us at NBC News, thank you and good evening.
This Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade or your money back. Look, no cord. It's rechargeable. It never needs a cord because this convenient charger stand keeps it continually charged. The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade or your money back. Here's why. The first screen shaves incredibly close. The second screen even closer. The Remington microscreen rechargeable shaver shaves as close as a blade or your money back. And the Lady Remington rechargeable, the perfect gift, shaves without a cord.
For over 50 years, there's been a unique insurance corporation. A corporation that insures only one thing, your money. But what makes it even more special is that it has the full faith and credit of the United States government behind it. The Federal Savings and Loan Insurance Corporation. Your money is safe, not just because it's insured, but because of who insures it.
I'm Jane Pauley. Next week on Today, we'll talk with Israeli Defense Minister Yitzhak Rabin, also John Travolta, Steven Spielberg, and Kirk Douglas. Join us next week on Today.
Mr. Clark, my hemorrhoids are really bothering me.
Pain, itch?
And swelling.
Then use Preparation H. It relieves the pain, itch, and swelling.
Doctor recommended, hospital tested Preparation H often gives hours of relief from pain and itch. And what's more, it actually helps shrink swelling of inflamed hemorrhoidal tissues.
Mr. Clark, you were right. Preparation H works great.
Get doctor recommended Preparation H.
It relieves pain, itch, and swelling.
That was no lady.
A master of disguise plots high treason.
I plan to kill someone by the name of Michael Knight.
Can Kid and Michael clip his wings? Then a world movie premiere starring the Dukes John Schneider and Barney Miller's Ron Glass. Out to con a fortune in Gus Brown and Midnight Brewster tonight.
Submitted for your approval, Ethel and Elmer Viewer. Together they've entered the rerun zone. Another Wednesday night trapped in the rerun zone. How many times can you check into the same hotel? Same time, same station, same episode. So check out of hotel and check into St. Elsewhere. Discover St. Elsewhere Wednesday at 9 here in the Channel 4 zone.
Hey, child, you